Someone asks you, "How was your day?" And you say, "Good." And they say, "Just good?" And suddenly you have no idea what to say next.
Today, we are going to make sure that never happens to you again.
Welcome back, everyone. Today's topic is one of the most ordinary, most repeated, most unavoidable conversations in everyday English, talking about your day. You will have this conversation today, tomorrow, every single day for the rest of your life. And most English learners handle it with two words: fine, thanks, and then silence.
By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to turn that two-word dead end into a real, flowing, confident conversation. You will have the phrases, the structure, the stories, and the energy to make someone genuinely interested in your day, even if your day was completely ordinary.
And we will show you something that most people do not realize. Talking about your day is not just small talk. It's one of the most powerful tools for building real relationships in English. Stay with us.
But first, there's a reason why most people collapse into fine, thanks, even when they've had an interesting day. And it's not laziness, it's not shyness, it's something much more specific. And once you understand it, the fix becomes obvious.
We'll get to that, but let's start with the moment that sparked this whole episode.
So this actually happened to me. I was at work last year and a colleague, someone I genuinely liked, someone I wanted to be friends with, came up to me at the end of the day and said, "Hey Maya, how was your day?" And I had had a genuinely eventful day. My morning meeting ran late. I had a disagreement with a client that actually turned into a really interesting conversation. I found a fantastic little restaurant near the office at lunchtime. 3 good stories, right there.
And you said,
"Yeah, not bad, pretty busy." And she smiled and walked away. And I stood there thinking, why did I just do that? I had things to say. Why did not bad, pretty busy come out instead?
and have you felt that? That moment where someone opens a door for you, genuinely, warmly opens a door, and instead of walking through it, you close it yourself with 2 words. And then you spend the next 10 minutes wishing you'd said something real.
If you have felt that, and I think most people listening to this have, then this episode is exactly what you need, because that moment has a name, and it has a solution.
Here's what's actually happening in that moment. When someone asks, "How was your day?" especially in English, especially when you're still building your confidence in the language, your brain does a rapid calculation. It asks 3 questions simultaneously. 1, do I have the vocabulary to describe what happened? 2, is my story interesting enough to share? 3, what if I start talking and I run out of words in the middle?
And if any one of those 3 questions produces even a flicker of doubt, your brain takes the safest exit. Fine, thanks. Not bad. Pretty quiet. Safe. Closed. Over.
But here's the painful part. Every time you take that exit, every time you compress a real experience into 2 empty words, you miss a chance to connect. And connection is built from exactly these moments, the small, daily, seemingly insignificant exchanges about ordinary life.
The colleague who asks how your day was, she's not just making noise. She's offering you an on-ramp to a real relationship. And fine, thanks, is the equivalent of seeing the on-ramp and staying on the highway.
So the question is, how do you stop taking the safe exit and start walking through the door?
And here is the thing that is going to change how you think about this. Talking about your day is not actually about your day.
Wait, say that again?
Talking about your day is not about your day. We will explain exactly what it is about in just a moment.
But first, let's give you the framework, because one of the main reasons people say, "Fine, thanks," is that they do not have a structure for what comes next. They think they have to come up with something interesting and spontaneous and perfectly expressed, all in real time. And that pressure produces silence.
So here is the structure. 3 parts, every time. Any day, any situation.
Part 1, give a headline. Not the full story, just the headline.
One sentence that captures the general feeling or the most interesting thing that happened. Honestly, it was one of those days where everything went slightly wrong. Or actually, it was surprisingly good. I didn't expect that. Or exhausting, but in a good way.
The headline does two things. It answers the question immediately, so the other person is not waiting, and it creates curiosity, so they naturally want to know more.
Part 2, give one specific detail. Just one. Not the whole day, not a list. One thing. The funniest thing happened on my commute this morning. Or I had this conversation with my manager that I'm still thinking about. Or I found this tiny coffee shop that I think I'm going to go back to every single day.
One specific detail is always more engaging than a general summary. I was really busy. Tell someone nothing. I had back-to-back meetings from 9 until 3, and by the end, I could not remember my own name. That is a picture. That is something they can see. That is something they respond to.
Part 3, invite them in. Hand it back. Ask about their day. But anyway, how about you? How was yours? Or what about you? Did you have a good one? Or simply, you?
That three-part structure, headline, one detail, hand it back, turns a two-word dead end into the beginning of a real conversation every single time. And the beautiful thing is, it works for any day. A dramatic day, a boring day, an exhausting day, a day where nothing happened at all.
Let's see the difference. Same day, same person, two completely different responses.
Version 1, the closed version. Someone asks, "How was your day?" You say, "Yeah, not bad. Pretty tired, actually." They say, "Oh yeah, same." And the conversation ends.
Version 2, the open version. Someone asks, how was your day? You say, honestly, a bit of a roller coaster. Good, but exhausting. I had this one meeting that completely changed direction halfway through and somehow ended up being the most interesting part of my week, but I'm glad it's Friday. How about you?
They say, "Oh, what happened in the meeting?" Same day, same amount of English, completely different conversation. The difference is not vocabulary, it's not grammar, it's structure and willingness. The willingness to let one real detail out.
And that one detail, that small, specific, honest piece of your actual day is what makes people feel close to you. That's what builds friendship. That's what turns a colleague into someone you actually look forward to seeing.
Let's go through 4 real situations where you need to talk about your day and give you the exact language for each.
Situation 1, you had a stressful day. Instead of it was really stressful, try this. Honestly, it was one of those days where everything took twice as long as it should have. I felt like I was running to stand still the whole time. Running to stand still, that idiom means working very hard just to keep up, not to get ahead. It's vivid, it's relatable, it sticks.
Situation 2, you had a good day. Instead of "it was good," try, "Actually, today was one of those days where things just clicked. Everything went smoothly. I got a lot done, and I left work feeling like a person again." Feeling like a person again, that phrase is real. People use it all the time after a long, grinding week. It's instantly understood, and it always gets a laugh.
Situation 3, you had a boring, uneventful day. This is the one people find hardest because they think nothing happened. I have nothing to say. But something always happened. Always. Try, honestly, nothing dramatic, but I had the most perfect cup of coffee this morning and it genuinely set me up for the day. Sometimes that's enough, isn't it?
Small, real, human. That is more than enough.
Situation 4, you had a genuinely bad day. Instead of shutting down, try, rough one, honestly. I'd rather not relive it in detail, but I'm glad the day is over. How was yours? That response is honest. It sets a boundary without being cold. It shows self-awareness, and it immediately moves the conversation to them, which is generous and graceful at the same time.
Notice something in all 4 of those. The language is simple, the sentences are short. You don't need sophisticated vocabulary to talk about your day with warmth and personality. You just need honesty, one specific detail, and the courage to let it out. Okay, so earlier I said that talking about your day is not about your day. Here is what I mean.
When someone asks how your day was, they are not conducting a report. They do not need a factual account of your schedule. What they are actually doing is saying, I see you. I am interested in your experience. I want to know how you are.
And when you respond with, fine, thanks, what you are inadvertently communicating is, I'm not going to let you in right now, even if that is not what you mean at all, even if you are just nervous or tired or stuck for words.
So, talking about your day is actually about letting someone in, even a little, even briefly. It's an act of trust. And every time you do it, with a real detail, with a real feeling, with a real moment from your actual life, you are building something, brick by brick, conversation by conversation.
That's why this skill matters so much. It's not just vocabulary practice, it's relationship practice. And relationships, real ones, are built in exactly these moments, not in grand gestures, not in important conversations, but in the small, daily, repeated act of saying, here is a piece of my day, here is a piece of me.
Think about someone in your life, in any language, who you feel genuinely close to, someone you trust, someone you feel comfortable with.
Now think about how that closeness was built. Was it one big dramatic conversation? Or was it dozens and hundreds of small ones? How was your day? What are you having for lunch? Did you hear about that thing? That accumulated over time into something real.
It was the small ones. It's almost always the small ones.
And every time you say fine, thanks in English, when you had something real to say, you were slowing down that accumulation. You're keeping the relationship at the surface when it could go deeper.
This episode is your permission to go deeper, starting today.
Stop for just a second. Think about your day today, or yesterday if you're listening to this in the morning. What actually happened? Not the schedule, the feeling, the one thing that surprised you or annoyed you or made you laugh or made you think.
Now put that into one sentence, a headline. Something like, honestly, today was one of those days where I couldn't get started, but once I did, everything came together. Or, it was quieter than expected, which I actually really needed.
That sentence, whatever yours is the beginning of a conversation. Say it out loud right now. Hear how it sounds.
That's your phrase for today. Use it in a real conversation before this day is over.
Here are the phrases from today. Every single one of them is real, natural, and immediately usable.
For starting the response, the headline.
Honestly, it was a bit of a roller coaster. Actually, today was surprisingly good. Exhausting, but in a good way. Honestly, one of those days where nothing went wrong, but nothing went right either.
For the specific detail, the body. The funniest thing happened on my commute. I had this one conversation I'm still thinking about. I found this tiny place near the office that I think I'm obsessed with. I felt like I was running to stand still the whole afternoon.
For handing it back, the clothes. But anyway, how about you? What about you? Did you have a good one? How was yours? You?
Headline. One detail, hand it back. Every time.
Out loud, slow first, then natural speed. Phrase 1. Honestly, it was a bit of a roller coaster. Honestly, it was a bit of a roller coaster. Honestly, it was a bit of a roller coaster. Phrase 2. Exhausting, but in a good way. Exhausting, but in a good way. Exhausting, but in a good way. Phrase 3. I felt like I was running to stand still. I felt like I was running to stand still. I felt like I was running to stand still. Phrase 4. I left work feeling like a person again. I left work feeling like a person again. I left work feeling like a person again. Phrase 5. The funniest thing happened on my commute. The funniest thing happened on my commute. The funniest thing happened on my commute. Phrase 6. I had this one conversation I'm still thinking about. I had this one conversation I'm still thinking about. I had this one conversation I'm still thinking about. Phrase 7.
Rough one, honestly. I'm glad it's over. Rough one, honestly. I'm glad it's over. Rough one, honestly. I'm glad it's over. Phrase 8. But anyway, how about you? But anyway, how about you? But anyway, how about you?
Say each one 3 times. Own them. The next time someone opens a door, walk through it.
2 listener questions this week. First one is from Yuna, who writes, I always feel like my day is too boring to talk about. Nothing exciting ever happens to me. How do I talk about a day where literally nothing happened?
Yuna, I want to challenge the idea that your day is boring, because I don't think it is. I think what's happening is that you have a very high threshold for what counts as worth sharing, and that threshold is too high.
The most engaging conversationalists in the world are not people who have dramatic, eventful days. They are people who notice small things and describe them with enough specificity that other people can see them too. A frustrating queue at the supermarket, a stranger who said something unexpectedly kind, a song that came on and made you feel a particular way. These are not boring, they are human.
Try this exercise, Yuna. At the end of each day, ask yourself one question. What was the most specific thing that happened today? Not the most dramatic, the most specific, the thing with the most detail attached to it. That is your story, and specific always beats dramatic in conversation.
The second question is from Omar, who asks, sometimes when I am talking about my day in English, I start a sentence and then I don't know how to finish it. I just trail off and it becomes awkward. How do I handle that?
Omar, trailing off mid-sentence is one of the most universal speaking experiences there is, in any language. And in English, there are completely natural ways to recover that native speakers use constantly.
If you lose the end of a sentence, you can say, and honestly, that's kind of the whole story, and let it land as if you meant to finish there. Or you can say, anyway, you know what I mean, which signals that the full thought is understood even without the full sentence. Or simply, actually, I don't know how to explain it, but it was one of those moments.
That last one, I don't know how to explain it, but is one of the most powerful phrases in casual English. It sounds vulnerable, it sounds real, and it almost always makes the other person lean in rather than walk away. Imperfect sentences spoken with warmth are almost always more connecting than perfect ones spoken without feeling.
So, back to Maya, standing at work, 3 good stories, the late meeting, the client conversation, the restaurant.
And this time, instead of not bad, pretty busy, I say, honestly, a bit of a day. I had this client conversation that started badly and ended up being the most interesting part of my week. And then I found this incredible little lunch spot that I think I'm going back to every day forever. How was yours?
And what does she say? She says, okay, which restaurant? Tell me everything. And we talked for 20 minutes. And that was the beginning of what is now one of my favorite friendships.
2 words would have ended it before it started.
One real detail changed everything.
Here is your challenge. Today, when someone asks how your day was, do not say, fine. Give them a headline, one specific detail. Hand it back. That's it. That's the whole assignment.
And come back and tell us what happened. Leave a comment. What was your headline today? What was your one detail? We read every single one. And your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to take their own first step.
If this episode helped you, share it with one person in your life who's learning English. One share from you could unlock someone else's voice.
And if you're not yet part of our daily practice, join us, subscribe, come back tomorrow. Every episode, we take one real-life conversation situation and give you everything you need to handle it with confidence. Not textbook English, real English. The kind that builds friendships, opens doors, and makes people want to keep talking to you.
We're here every day, and we want you here with us.
In our next episode, we're tackling the conversation that happens after "How was your day?" The moment when the door is open and you need to keep it open. Small talk, why it feels fake, why it's actually the most important social skill in English, and the exact moves that turn a surface-level exchange into something genuinely meaningful.
You're going to discover that small talk is not small at all. It's the foundation, and we're going to give you the blueprint.
Don't skip that one.
Until then, let one real detail out today. Just one. See what happens.
Take care, everyone.
See you tomorrow.